Today I'm not brewing any matcha. I am going to be brewing sencha, and I'm going to show you how I do it. I still do it the way that I did it in Japan, but I've learned different techniques over the course of a year, and I've researched more. This, of course, I have my little bag of things in here. First thing in here is actually the tea we're using today, which is Spring Sun Sencha. I had my brother pick what tea I'm using for my tea fridge, and he chose Spring Sun Sencha, which is a good thing because it's my second favorite sencha from Alubu. My first one is going to be Brightness. But this is my second favorite we're using today. I'll put it on the side. Today I actually brought a lot more than I usually do, just so I can show you a little bit more. I brought a clear cup so I can show you the color. Let's set that aside and then get stuff off of this as well. I brought my tea in a tea caddy. I got this one from the same place I got my matcha one that I used. And it has a monk with a super cute photo. Let's see, you can see it. Hopefully you can. And then inside here I also got a little cup of dried fruits. I have a fig, a tomato, and a strawberry. And then I'll explain a little bit more about that later. Also got my cup, which has cute little koi in it as well, which I love so much. I probably should take a picture of all of these. It's a yellow-green color. And then I have my tea cloth. As you guys know, I love this thing. I'll put it on the table. Move all this stuff aside. And I'll put my stuff on it. And then I have my vessel I'm going to be brewing in. I have a cooling pot or a pitcher. I got this in oh my goodness, why am I spacing on the name? Tokuyame, that's the name. I got this Hohen there, and I got this, which is the same potter made both of these in very similar play and methods. And the potter that I met at this in Tokuyama's actually grandfather made this, and his grandfather made this. He had some other ones that are a little bit more modern style. That is his style, but his grandfather's style I love. As you can see, I'm going to zoom up. All of this markings on there are actually from seaweed being put on while it's firing. So it makes like a glossy coat, and it's so pretty. So I got a Hohen, and I got a cooling thing, and that's it for that. I am going to put my thing aside. I have my hydro flask filled with hot water. I went high and low to find a new water bottle slash thermos, so it can do hot and cold, and it's a good size. Will fit in cup holders and cars and planes and stuff. And I couldn't find one forever, and I had an old hydro flask, but then I made the purchase again because my last hydro flask was beaten up, bruised, and then my brother actually took it because he needed one. I didn't need it at that moment, but then I was flying somewhere and I was like, I need a water bottle. I forgot, so I bought a new one. So first, this is boiling water, and it's pretty much, I would say, a couple degrees below boiling right now because I just put it in there, and this is pretty thermal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lid, put it like that, and I'm going to fill this up with water. but I'm not going to fill this up yet. I'm going to actually fill this up first so I know how much water I can have in here for my cup. And this is also going to cool down to the right temperature. I'm looking for the 70 temp, which I think is 158 Fahrenheit, which is 70 Celsius. And this is not going, it's going to bring the more umami and sweet out of the tea and less bitterness. To be honest, I don't do this often. This is when I sit down and have time to drink tea like today outside, a beautiful day, and I will do it this way. But if I don't have time, and it depends on what I'm craving, sometimes I'm craving more of that bitterness and astringency taste, and I will put hot boiling water on my tea. I'll just brew it for a lesser time. So we're going to unscrew this. Ugh, sometimes it's hard to pour just enough in this cooling chamber. Hopefully you can hear this. I don't think you're going to be able to. I'm just going to pour enough. It is boiling because I did just drip it. That's really warm tea. Definitely too hot. Just enough. It's not very easy to pour out of this, I would say. Yeah, I think someday I want to design a water bottle that's easier to pour, drink out of, and pour tea out of for us tea people. So how am I going to cool this down? There's two ways you can do it. Depends on what I'm doing. If I'm hanging out with friends, maybe I'm, wow, very loud bird. Maybe I'm hanging out with friends and I'm talking, I will let this sit and not touch it. Since I'm not hanging out with friends and I'm talking to you guys, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to pour this into the hohen and then the hohen into my cup. Hopefully I had enough water to make sure that this is not going to be overflowing. This is usually a single or 2 cup hohen. It's not very big, which I love when I'm doing it for myself. And I'm going to do that until it's a good temperature. How am I going to do that? So I'm going to hold my hand to it. This cooling chamber gets pretty accurate temperatures, like they're really hot because it's such a thin pottery piece. So I'm going to try my best not to spill this, but I'm going to pour it into my oven. Another thing, there's a little bug on this. Another thing about doing it outside is that there's going to be wildlife. Fly away, bug. Okay. And then after that, again, this is not full because I always use this with my hohen. Usually I fill it up all the way and then it's like almost spilling every time I use it. But today I'm trying a different way. I did not put the lid on or anything, and that's since I'm just making one single cup. That was a perfect amount for this cup. So again, we're going to pour it back in here. And then we're going to hold it to see how it's going. It should drop 10 temperatures, 10 temps every time you change the vessel. This is pretty good now. I would say I'm going to pour it in the hohen again, and then we're going to pour it back in here, and it should be good. Now again, I did not put the lid on for that instant. Now that this water is good, I'm going to set it aside, grab my tea, and open up the lid. I eyeballed it. I just threw some stuff in there. I'm not going to pour this whole thing in there, like with the matcha. you're just gonna shake enough until you know. After a while, you're gonna figure out how much you're gonna need in each vessel you use, and how much you're gonna need and what type of taste you want. You want a really umami, thick, filling taste. I would layer this half, like almost half full. It's a lot, but if you just want a light, very light taste, just do a tiny bit. Let me show you how much I used. Not very much. Okay, now that I did that, we are going to pour this in circular motions into to make it evenly covered so all the leaves are wet instead of having the dry leaves. Then we're going to shut. We're going to wait a minute. Luckily, I have a watch. I love this watch. I got it from Amazon for like $40. I wear it every single day. And then when I make tea, it has a minute setting. You just press it once, and that's amazing. It also has 3, 5, 10, so it's actually just a great watch. And be ready for when that timer goes off to pour. But yeah, today is such a beautiful day. It is Father's Day, me filming this, but we're having a relaxed Father's Day. We're taking my dad out to dinner tonight, and yeah, it's just gonna be relaxed. And I worked this morning. Oh, now it's done. I'm going to be pouring it into the cooling chamber. Now, usually I do this to make sure every last drop is in there when I do multiple people's cups, because I usually make for more people than myself. Today I'm just using one. I'm doing this as like I usually do it, which is usually not from just myself. You're going to want to get all of the last drops in there. I'm a little bit obsessive with that. How I do it is turn it by the side, and then I turn it in like that. And it drips the last drops. Now there is like different teapots and different things that make the last drops way easier to get. If you want to learn more, I can definitely make a video about that. I love pottery, so let me know if you want to know more. This one, I forgot to teach you how to hold it. You are going to do 2 fingers. I usually just do my whole hand like this, and on the rim. The reason the rim is because usually it's warm on the bottom, too warm for your hands. So on the rim, it's going to be a nice hold so it's not burning your fingers. And if you use hotter water, we used some warm water today. It wasn't that hot, so I didn't need to do that. I'm also a pro at this, so the warm water doesn't really affect me. And then your little pointer finger is going to go on the lid. In this case, the lid, the little spout, the handle on the lid, has a little hole where steam comes out, and that hurts when I pour. So what I do is either go on the very tip or on the bottom like that, and it helps a lot more. Now, after that, we're going to pour it into this beautiful thing, and then we're saving just a little bit to pour into. How about this? I'll pour into here so you can see the color and then pour back into my cup. Sorry if my area changed. My phone lost storage. Very umami, very light. One of my favorites. That one is very umami. I love this tea because you can pack it to make it more umami, and it's non-shaded tea. Um, this is a non-shaded tea, which I love. Sometimes I wish my microphone could pick up the surrounding noises because there's a beautiful bird singing. The issue is, in front of me there's a street, behind me there's a forest, and in front of me this car is moving. Behind me, the beautiful forest, and I go it this way because you don't need to see the street. You definitely want to see the forest, but it's beautiful. There is owls in this forest. There is eagles, bald eagles, hawks, robins, sparrows, so many things in this forest. Okay, one more sip. Now it's time for punch. I'm gonna add more leaves. Now it's time for round two. I'm going to be pouring just in here and then directly in there. No third or fourth course, which is very hot. Hot. Gotta do it fast so your fingers don't burn. But yeah, this is a very thin pit pot, and I like it because I can definitely feel the temperature of the water in it. This is not that thin, and it's good. I like the handles up above because it does have that groove that's easier. The only thing is the lid. So we're gonna let it sit for a couple more seconds. It's a nice day to just have tea. I usually try to do this on my days off. Today's not my day off, but I did get off early, so it's very nice to just sit and enjoy tea. I wish I lived further in the forest or something, so I didn't have that much car noises happening. But it is peaceful. I'm gonna swish it around, and then just a little bit. I want to see. Hey, that bug is back that I had earlier. I can smell the umami more. Yep, that's how I like it. So this is how I usually brew my tea. Most days. I pour hot water, boiling hot. This one's probably about 200 degrees. Not as it has been cooling off a little bit. I didn't get all of those. And I'm going to show you the difference between this liquid and the last one. The last one is if you want a lighter brew, and this one is if you want a darker brew. As you can see, changed a lot. Very dark yellow now. The bug is now on my hand. Very dark yellow. But this is how I brew it usually. You can do the first brew light, second brew hot. You're going to need to do a hot or second brew period, unless you're doing a ice brew, which is another way to brew this. I can show you in a different video how to do that. But second brews are going to be needing more hot water because you're going to need to extract the flavor that's there. Because the first brew, you already extracted most of the flavor. Now the second brew, you can extract the rest. You should be able to brew most teas 2 to 4 times. I've had some teas that brew 26 times. I've had some teas that only really lasted 2 times. It depends on the tea, so experiment. This one I have gotten up to 6 brews, and it depends on what you're brewing. Of course, hotter water over the course. You should start really cold and then do hot, hot, hot. Once I did cold brew, and then I put boiling water on it. Or I did cold brew once, and then I filled it up again and made another cold brew, and then I put boiling water on it, which is, yeah, I was experimenting, and that it was good. All of those were good. It's because of the umami factor and the punch most teas have, especially green tea, because green tea has that really strong umami, and they also have a really strong bitterness that a lot of other teas don't actually have. If you have black teas, you're not getting the same bitterness and umaminess with the green teas. So Japan does this, and a bunch of China does this, and they all do this, and they usually put something sweet with their teas, so they can kind of make the flavor a little bit milder. And I like to do it occasionally. I would say that's why like having matcha with milk is really good, but also like having matcha, just a bowl of matcha with like a mochi with dessert in general is so good. Very good. Last brew. Again, now I'm just gonna pour everything in here. It's just still boiling. Now with that, I don't know how much water I poured in. I don't know if it's gonna fit in these two. But we have both, so we can do it. Put the lid on and wait. We're gonna wait, wait, wait. Probably wait about close to a minute. Probably not a minute, but close to one for that third brew. Just because it has been brewed twice before and the flavors are not going to be as strong when you are brewing it. So we're going to wait there. So sencha, I'm going to tell you a little story about sencha since I told you a story about matcha. This story about sencha is a long time ago in Japan. So sencha means green tea, and in Japan there's a lot of trying to be diverse from Chinese tea and China. And during that time, there was a guy who's kind of a sencha. He's a sencha maker, sencha master, and he studied so much different techniques throughout Japan that he kind of combined them all. There was a place that was steaming, a place that was rolling their tea like sencha needles, and a place that was doing other things. Like they were rolling the tea, steaming the tea, drying their tea, not pressing into tape. So he kind of blended all the stuff he learned into one um, way of doing things, and that's how we have it today. He had a cart that in make machines, tools, and how to make matcha, and the matcha, not matcha, how to make sencha, and the sencha he would sell around, he would show it. He actually showed some of his friends how to make it in the tools. And when he passed away, he actually gave the tools to various people, and some of those people sold his tools for money because so many people wanted this tools and like methods to make sencha, um, but they didn't know because he wouldn't sell it to him. but one of his friends or relatives, I forget which one, did. And that's now we all enjoyed sencha. But yeah, he had a little cart going to cities and he would sell sencha. The way he would make it too. It was so fun. Mm. Every time I have a sencha like this, it brings me back to Japan. I know a lot of people are like, oh, in Japan we have matcha, but for my trip, I had sencha. I had so much sencha. I had matcha, of course. I went and tried a bunch of matcha, but primarily I drank sencha and hojicha, which are two green teas, and wakucha. Wakucha is black um, Japanese tea, and sencha is um, a type of green tea. And then hojicha is a roasted green tea. I will show you how to brew that one next. It's a little bit different than this one. But the green tea, I would just drink those a lot. Matcha, of course, I would go to Uji and everything's flavored matcha there. But mainly matcha. I would try more matcha ice cream out and about than matcha. I would try matcha when I'm in Wasaka, when I lived there, because I tried, of course I went to different people's farms and stuff, but yeah. Mm. Now you have another cup because you overbrewed. So I'm gonna set this aside and we're gonna open this up. This is one of my favorite parts I do when I have high quality tea is take my fingers and I grab some leaves and I eat it. Mm. Now you can eat high quality tea leaves. You can make stuff out of this food if you want. If you throw it in a pot with some soy sauce, sugar, salt, not salt, sugar, heat it up a little bit. It's so good. Now let's drink this. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something today. Yeah, have a great day.